Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable Rector of UIN Antasari Banjarmasin, Professor Dr. Mujib Rahman MA, Dean of Tarbiyah and Teachers Training Faculty, Professor Dr. Juwairia MPD, Deans of Tarbiyah and Teachers Training Faculty, the Head of the Center of Research and Development on Islamic Education, Dr. Daud Yahya MAG, the Heads of Department, all honorable guests, speakers, and participants. Good morning and welcome to the international webinar, Would We Lose a Generation of Education Due to COVID-19? Hosted by the Center of Research and Development of Islamic Education, Tarbiyah and Teachers Training Faculty, UIN Antasari Banjarmasin. On behalf of the host, we extend our greatest appreciation to each and every one of you for being able to join this wonderful webinar. Proceeding to our agenda this morning, we would like to invite Muhammad Rizkon, student of Islamic Education, to recite the Holy Quran.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.
A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May Allah bless us in this webinar. Respectable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will have our welcome remarks from our rector of UIN Antasari Banjarmasin, and we would like to request him to officially open this international webinar. Please be invited, the Honorable Professor Dr. Mujibur Rahman, MA.
Okay, thank you. I hope my voice is clear.
Yes, clear. I can hear.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning for everybody. Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Education and Teachers Training of our university. Honorable organizer of this conference, Center for the Research and Development of Islamic Education. Our distinguished speakers, Dr. Farahdina Yusuf from the Faculty of Education, University of Malaya, Malaysia, and Dr. Chandra Cahyadi from Lumpkin School of Business, Eastern Illinois University, USA. So maybe now, what time is it in the United States? It is in the evening. Nice to know. Yeah.
This is 8 o'clock, Pak Rector.
Oh,
8 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you. And the last speaker is Dr. Husnul Yakin. He is our lecturer in the Faculty of Education here. I'm very happy to have this webinar, and I think this is a very good initiative from the organizers, I mean from the Center of Research and Development of the Islamic Education in the Faculty of Education. And the themes of this seminar is very important, I think. The title is We Lost a Generation of Education Due to COVID-19. This is a very challenging question. This morning, I tried to find some ideas to talk in this opening remarks. And I found two public intellectuals who wrote, one is wrote articles and books about COVID-19 One is Laput Zizek. I think most of you read this book, entitled Pandemic COVID-19 Shake the World. And the second one is an article by Yuval Noah Harari, The World After Coronavirus, Financial Times, published on March 20, 2020. So I like to read a quotation from Slavoj Zizek, which is for me is very interesting. He said, Hegel wrote that the only thing we learn from history is that we learn nothing from history. So I doubt the epidemic will make us any wiser. The only thing that is clear is that the virus will shatter the very foundations of our lives, causing not only an immense amount of suffering, but also economic havoc, conceivably worse than the Great Recessions. There is no return to normal. The new normal will have to be constructed on the ruins of our old lives. Or we will find ourselves in new barbarism, whose signs are already clearly discernible. So this is not really optimistic, but perhaps we can be considered a realistic statement about our situation right now. The second quotation is from Yuval Noah Harari. He said, humankind is now facing a global crisis, perhaps the biggest crisis of our generation. The decision people in government take in the next few weeks will probably shape the world for years to come. So he wrote this in March, yeah. So a few weeks in March and April, when the coronavirus spread to the world. They will shape not just our healthcare system, but also the economy, politics, and culture. We must act quickly and decisively. We should also take into account the long-term consequences of our actions. When choosing between alternatives, we should ask ourselves not only how to overcome the immediate threat, but also what kind of world we will inhabit once the storm passes. Yes, the storm will pass. Humankind will survive. Most of us will still be alive, but we will inhabit a different world. So if you look at this statement by the two leading intellectuals right now about the coronavirus, we should think deeply right now. We should look at all kinds of sources of wisdom. We should learn from our best thinkers of past and present to face these challenges. And how can we turn the challenges into opportunities? And I think all of us agree that education is very important, or the most important things right now to think about. Education for our children is very important because without education, they cannot develop themselves, they cannot face the challenge and difficulties in the future. So right now, we should think of how do we manage teaching and learning for our students. And I think everywhere in the world now using the online method system, and it is not easy and it is not really practical, it is not really effective, but we cannot avoid it. So this is a reality. For me, at least, we can learn three things from these situations for the benefits of our teaching and learning for our students using the online system. The first one is that at least in Indonesia, most of us thinks that education is the responsibility of teachers or lecturers in the universities. But now, because children are at home and most of students also should be staying at home, parents at home should share the responsibility of teaching and educating our children. So the idea of sharing the responsibility is, I think, one of the positive things in these epidemic situations. The second one is that for a long time, we have been discussing the idea of student-centered learning as a method, maybe a kind of liberal method of teaching and learning. But in practice, I think we still use the traditional way of learning, teacher-centered learning in most cases. Now the situation push us that we should develop this kind of method for our children and our students to be more independent in their search of knowledge, in their learning at home. So this is the second positive thing that I think we should develop in this epidemic situation. The third one is that we can maximize the advantages of using the internet, using the information and communication technology, because for a long time we have electronic learning system, but almost nobody use it. And on the other hand, we use cellular phones or social media just for fun, or even for bad things, not for positive things. Now it is the time for us to maximize the advantages, the benefits, the good things of using the social media, using the cellular phone, using the internet, because we cannot avoid it. So we just maximize the good things potentially found in this amazing technology that we can use it. So finally, I would like to express my appreciation to all organizers and speakers and all participants in this webinar. And I believe that this webinar will broaden our insight to see our future, especially in our educational institution responsible for education of
Prof, suaranya tidak terdengar.
Okay, I'm sorry, it was muted. So I highly appreciate your effort to think of this very important issue. I mean, the issue of education in this COVID-19 crisis. And I believe that this webinar will broaden our insight to see the future of education in Indonesia, in our university, or even in the world. So finally, let us officially open this event by saying together Basmalah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Prof. Muji, for the welcome remarks and for opening this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda will be the recitation of Dua. We would like to request Bapak Fatullah Munadi MAG to lead us in prayer. Bapak Fatullah, are you with us now?
Before reading the dua, let's read the Quran. بنية القبول وتمام كل سور ومأمول وإلى حضرة سيدنا الرسول الفاتحة. بسم الله. آمين يا الله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلاة تملأ خزائن الله نورا وتكون لنا وللمؤمنين فرجا وفرحا وسرورا وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. يا ربنا لا تدع لنا في مقامنا هذا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا رب العالمين. اللهم ادفع عنا البلاء والوباء والفحشاء والشدائد والفتن والمحن ما ظهر منها وما في بلدنا هذا خاصة وفي جميع البلاد عامة يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, to make this event more memorable, it is my honor to invite everyone to join us in photo session. Would you please turn on your video so we can capture the moment? Hadirin sekalian, dimohon agar seluruhnya menyalakan video agar sesi foto bisa kita laksanakan. Kepada panitia, dipersilahkan untuk mengambil foto.
Okay, thank you very much. I will pick the picture. 5 slide. Okay. Slide number 1. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Wait. It's okay. Slide 2. Slide number 2. Okay. We'll take the picture. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Will be take slide number 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes. The 4th slide. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay. This is the last slide. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay. The slide number 6. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, finish. Thank you, Mr.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Eko. Thank you for all the audience and honorable guests and participants. It is the time we have been waiting for, the presentation from our prominent speakers. And before the presentation begin, allow me to welcome Ibu Afifah Hindasari as the moderator. She is an English lecturer at UIN Antasari Banjarmasin, and she will lead us through the discussion. Please welcome Ibu Afifah Hindasari, MPD.
Ya.
I'm sorry, I was to say that I had to leave. Terima
Yes,
kasih
sir.
Pak Prof. Chandra. Senang berkenalan di sini. Semoga bisa ketemu.
Terima kasih Pak Rektor.
Pak Rahdina dan Pak Husnul, semua kawan-kawannya.
Oke, terima kasih Pak
Thank
Rektor.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for Ibu Ika Irayana as the Master of Ceremony. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Honorable, the presenters and participants, I'm very delighted to welcome you in this international webinar, which is organized by the Center of Research and Development on Islamic Education, Tarbiyah and Teacher Training Faculty, UIN Antasari, Banjarmasin. My name is Afifah Lindasari, and I will be the moderator in this webinar. The main topic today is making sense of what was a generation of education due to COVID-19. And this topic will be presented by three prominent speakers, Dr. Chandra Cahyadi from Eastern Illinois University, USA, Dr. Faradina binti Yusuf from University of Malaya, Kuala Lumpur, and Dr. Husnul Yakin MED from UIN Antasari, Banjarmasin, Indonesia. Before starting the presentation, let me inform you that our agenda this morning is divided into three sessions. The first session is presentation time. Each presenter gets 35 minutes to present the paper. The second session is question and answer. The Q&A can be directly through Zoom, or the participants may write question on the chat box and also in the YouTube chat. Then the last will be closing statement from each presenter. And I want to remind you that the link of certificate will share at the end of the webinar, so don't worry about that. Now we start to the first presenter. Let me inform you about his short biography. Dr. Chandra Cahyadi is an associate professor of finance at Lambkin School of Business, Eastern Illinois University, USA. He received his PhD in finance from University of Oklahoma. He also has an MBA degree from the University of South Carolina, majoring in international business and finance. His research focuses on corporate finance, corporate governance, and financial inclusion. He currently serves as an editorial board member of the International Journal of Governance and Financial Intermediation, and as the research coordinator of asset pricing and investments at the Indonesian Finance Association. Today, he will share with us the ideas dealing with preparing your students with value-based education and life skill. And for your information, Dr. Chandra is broadcasting now from USA. So there is a time difference of 12 hours between Indonesia and USA. So if it is still morning in Indonesia, that will be evening in the US. So that after his presentation over, you can ask the question directly because he will leave this webinar earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Chandra Cahyadi.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really excited about being here and to present some points about the future of like higher education, especially after like the COVID-19 season. So first of all, I'm gonna share with you like the PowerPoint that I have, and I will also share a video later on. So first, I'm just gonna go to the slide here. So the title of the talk here is about preparing our students with value-based education and life skill. And this is like a very important issue, especially after like the introduction from Pak Rektor, that he mentioned that there are like a couple of points that we should learn from our mistakes. The problem is we often not learning like anything from the mistakes and repeat like our mistakes. The second thing is if we don't change anything in the past, the problem is we will be in trouble. We will have like difficulties in the future. So it is time to make a change, and we need like to make a change in order for us to move forward confidently. Okay. So there are like 10 predictions for higher educations in the future. And what I meant by the predictions here, this is the article that was made on the higher education ed. And they make a prediction about like, what's going to happen in the future regarding the higher education. The point number one, colleges and universities will try to open, but it will be challenging. And because we know that the virus is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. It is like very serious, and the number of cases has been like on the uptick. In fact, like in India, there are like 70,000, about like 70,000 new cases every day. So I'm not seeing that, this is like something that will end like anytime soon. It will linger. I think we will go into 2021 and even like 2022. I read an article from McKinsey today, and it says that it is estimated that we are probably going to go back to normal, maybe like in the first half of 2023. So which is still about like, 2-3 hours, like, 2-3 like years from now. And that would be like very concerning. Point number two, the revenue for the universities will go down and the cost will go up. And that is easy to understand because like, some students, they don't feel comfortable like to go to school. So they will decide to stay away for a year or two to wait out like for the pandemic. And in the meantime, the schools, they have to pay a lot of like expenses to keep like, the mitigation system intact, okay? So for example, like the sanitation, like the screening, the quarantining, like, the expenses will be much. Number three, colleges, universities will maintain a major online presence. And number four, the nation will debate the value of in-person education, which is a threat for like some of the universities. And the reason is it's pretty simple. It's because if we don't make a change, then we will in trouble. The last one here, for the first slide is going to be like a massive competition from the online education providers. So there will be some consolidation as well. Number six, there will be like existential like crisis and many closures, even for like big universities. Number seven, no federal bailout. Number eight, there will be many companies or startups that will enter like the education market. Number nine, greater inequality will result. And number 10, a new ubiquitous learning platform will emerge. So all these 10 points, the points that I showed you earlier here, they are showing you like the threat that many universities and colleges around the world are facing. So we need like to make a change in the way we educate and prepare our students. So number one, the challenges that we have right now is, number one, we have like irrelevant and outdated educational contents, okay? And the educational contents that we have, they're outdated, they're irrelevant, and maybe the problem is because there's like limited budget for the curriculum development. That's possibility number one. Possibility number two, there's like a limited budget for faculty development. Like in my university, we used to have like, annual budget to go to conferences and to present papers. But right now there's like an efficiency like effort like campus-wide. So we don't no longer have access to those funds. And that is also like, makes like things like more difficult. And number three, this is also something that is very important, that sometimes school or universities, they do not have clear direction about what they want to accomplish in terms of like, the goals or like the key points that they want to achieve. They don't have that. And that makes it like, more difficult, because if we don't have a clear, well-defined goals, it is very difficult to achieve something. All right. Now, another like practical challenge that we have is that the employers, once like our students go out and graduate from UIN, for example, if your students like graduated, the employers will need some skills. They just don't need employees with just knowledge or titles. You can have many titles, but if you don't have the skills that the company needs you to have, then you would be a bad candidate for them. It's not a good candidate. So that's why there's a lot of efforts spent outside the university for companies to spend on upskilling and reskilling the employees. Because once your students go out and try to find a job, let's say in Jakarta or in Surabaya, they couldn't find a job. And when they find a job, they also have to be reskilled or they have to be upskilled. And that will take some resources from the company as well. And this is something that not many companies, especially the medium or the small scale companies, don't have. That is the resources that they don't have, simply don't have. There are not many companies that are have unlimited budget to upskill or reskill their employees. So that's why it is our responsibility as the university or the school to prepare our students so that when they go out, when they graduate, they can either have two options. The first option is for them to find a job, and they can find a job where they can immediately contribute and contribute to the company. It doesn't take a long time for them to adjust to the company, but they can be ready to work. Dalam bahasa Indonesianya, anak-anak ini bisa siap kerja, bisa siap pakai. But that's not the case. That's not the case. And in many cases, it is far from the reality. And it's also the problem that we have even in America. When the college graduates go out to the job market, when they go out to the marketplace, they can't find a job because they don't have the skill set that's required by the companies outside. And that is very problematic. It's very difficult to tackle because there must be a concerted effort. There must be collaboration between university and the marketplace. So the curriculum can be updated. The curriculum can be renewed. The curriculum can also be improved. Now, when I say that here, number one, universities are becoming more irrelevant. Or in other words, universities are becoming more not relevant. And why is that? Again, because of the three possible scenarios that we mentioned before. There's limited budget for curriculum development. Number two, the limited budget for a faculty development. And number three, there's a disconnect between the company, marketplace, and the university. Now, if the universities are becoming more irrelevant, that will cause the second effect. The thing is, we are seeing more and more affordable, practical education alternatives. For example, now Google, they just launched a new program, certificate program. So in the future, the high school graduates, they don't have to go to college. They don't have to go to the university. They can go to Google. They can go to Google Academy. They can take some classes there, programming skill. They can take coding skill. They can take the AI. They can take the machine learning. They can do many different things that are more relevant in the marketplace. And the thing is, those companies, they are willing to loan their students some money to take their classes. So again, this will create a great competition for school and universities. And when we have a condition where universities are becoming more irrelevant, and we also have a challenging situation where we have like more affordable and practical education alternatives, then it will create a negative impact on traditional enrollment. The number of students going to the traditional schools will go down. I mean, like, that is like, something that a lot of people are worried about, and it is happening. It is happening. There are like many students, they decided like not to go to college. They take like a year off after they finish high school. And that is a big challenge for the universities. In fact, the University of Illinois here in America, we have like a deficit of almost like $300 million, almost 3 trillion rupiah. Just the deficit for 1 year, for just 1 year. We are not talking about 2 years, not talking about 10 years. We are only talking about 1 year. So you can see like how much trouble the university can get themselves in if they don't tackle this type of situation. When they have like negative impact on traditional enrollment, it will create more pressure on the universities. So the whole thing here is like the vicious cycle. Ini menciptakan lingkaran setan. Maaf kata. So it creates like, really negative, really bad cycle where universities are becoming more irrelevant. There are more practical education alternatives, more negative impact on traditional enrollment. And it exerts like more pressure on traditional higher education institutions. Because of that, the most important question that we can have today is not about talking about the problems, because we always have like, problems, no doubt about it. We'll always have problems. But the thing is, what can we do? What can we change? What can we do about the problem? How can we do something so that we can do something about it, and we can come out of the other problem like more positively? Now, let me give you like, some article here. So this is an article that is issued by the Harvard Business Review. And it says that 6 reasons why higher education needs to be disrupted. And this article was made in November. In fact, like, to be exact, it was created on November 19, 2019. That was before the pandemic happened. So what does it mean? After the pandemic, we have many more reasons that the higher education needs to be changed, needs to be updated. Because if it's not updated, then guess what? We will have the disruption. Like what happens in Indonesia. In the past, if you go to Jakarta and if you take a taxi, you always take Bluebird taxi. But guess what happens? After some time, after many years, where Bluebird like enjoys like the privilege of like, enjoying like a huge market share, there was a time where Gojek and Grab and Uber came to the market. So the whole market was disrupted, and right now the consumer benefits from the competition. That's exactly what's going to happen with the higher education as well. So if that is the case, what are the things that we can do so we can help the students so that they can go to the job market, they can find a better job, or they can also have like some money to start like a small business? Because there are only 2 options. Either they go out and work, or they can go out and have their own business. But there are no other options, either working or having a business. So just 2 options. So what are like the 3 practical steps for the university leaders? Number 1, we must create a class that teaches and mentors students to learn a life skill. And this is exactly what I'm going to show you, and the example that I will provide you with, so that you can see that what we do here is something that is doable, something that we can do. This is not something like dreaming in the middle of the day. This is not like something unrealistic. This is something really easy to do, but it takes a commitment from many different like stakeholders. So number one is you create a class that teaches. So not only the knowledge, but we also will mentor the students. We will walk beside them so they can learn a new life skill. And what is the new life skill that they can learn? There are many. There are many. Communication, like debate, and like, constructive, like, argument, like persuasion. There are like so many things that we can teach them. But there is like one life skill that I really think is very important for everyone. And that is like financial wisdom. How we, you, I manage our money. Because no matter like, how good our job is, if we cannot manage our money well, guess what? We will be in trouble. And I have seen like over and over times and over again, many people are suffering, especially during the pandemic right now, where like their income gets disrupted, but they cannot manage their money. They get into financial trouble. They have to borrow money. They have to borrow money from Lintah Darat. They have to borrow money from crazy, like, fintech companies that charge almost like, like 40% a month. Or like, it can double like within like 2-3 months. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. So that's number one. Number two, we also need like to encourage students to learn about practical skills in place. But the problem is, how can we make sure that the students have the financial resources to take additional life skill classes? That's another question. So in other words, we need to teach them the skill to manage money first. So we don't spend money that we don't have to buy things that we don't need to impress people we don't like. Dalam bahasa Indonesianya, kita jangan sampai memakai uang yang tidak kita punya, alias utang, untuk membeli barang yang tidak perlu, untuk membuat terkesan orang yang tidak kita suka. Walaupun ini kedengarannya konyol, tapi ini seringkali kita lakukan. That's a big problem. That's a big problem not only in Indonesia, but it also happens in the US and in many like developed countries as well. So this is not a specific problem. It's not idiosyncratic like to Indonesia, but it also like applies to every nation like in the world. The thing is, we don't spend money on the things that we need. We just like spend money on the things that we don't need. And the problem is we use money that we don't have. So we borrow money using credit card and we buy things that we don't need to impress people that we don't even like. Now, the last one is we need like to prepare our students to compete in education 4.0. We hear it like, all the time, the terminology, revolusi industri 4.0. But what can we do about it? Just knowing that we are going into like the 4.0 doesn't mean anything. If we don't do something about it, we will just dream and get nothing. So the thing is, what can we do to achieve our goals? Now, I'm gonna share with you a story. I'm gonna share a story with you. And this is, I'm going to share a video with you. This is a story of Ningsi. So Ningsi, I believe that she is like from Jawa, and she is working in Hong Kong. She works in Hong Kong because she wants like to make some money and she wants to save for her family. But the problem is, it's not difficult. Oh, it's not easy, sorry. It's easier said than done. Making money is easy, but saving money is much more difficult. So we will watch this video. And I also want you like to pay attention to how she changed her life and turned her life around. Okay? All right, let's do it.
berasal dari Kabupaten Semarang. Keinginan saya untuk bekerja ke luar negeri supaya bisa membantu orang tua, dan yang kedua saya bisa menabung untuk masa depan saya. Dulu saya melihat tetangga kampung saya dari Hong Kong, dia bisa bangun rumah, bisa nyekolahin anaknya, bisa beli tanah. Makanya saya ingin banget bekerja ke luar negeri di Hong Kong. Katanya gajinya besar daripada di Jakarta. Saya membayangkan kalau misalnya punya gaji besar, bisa menabung, bisa membantu orang tua saya kirim ke kampung. Dulu saya harapannya cuma 1 kontrak 2 tahun. Tetapi saya mengumpulkan uang hanya bisa sedikit karena di Hong Kong itu ada libur, dan di saat libur saya tergiur sama barang-barang mewah gitu, apalagi diskon. Jadinya ya saya belanja terus, nggak taunya uang saya tinggal sedikit gitu, jadinya menabungnya ya sisanya cuma sedikit gitu. Setelah belajar itu saya mengikuti dan mencatat apa yang dicatat itu, pemasukan, pengeluaran, anggaran gitu. Terus saya mempraktekkan mencatat setiap harinya pemasukan dan pengeluaran anggaran saya. Akhirnya saya bisa menabung lebih banyak. Yang dulunya saya menabung cuma sebulannya 2 juta. Setelah saya mengikuti pelajaran pengelola keuangan, saya bisa menabung lebih besar. Sebulannya saya bisa menabung 6 juta. Dan dalam waktu 5 bulan ini saya akan pulang karena udah terkumpul tabungan saya. Untuk teman-teman yang masih bekerja, tetaplah semangat dan jangan lupa menabung supaya cepat pulang ke Indonesia dan berkumpul keluarga.
Yeah, so here's like the problem with stuff that buying things that you don't need, using money that you don't have to impress people that you don't like. Okay. Like to conclude the presentation, I need you like to do something for me. And if you could, I would like to go to the last slide and would like to ask you to fill the a survey. Okay. Okay, give me a second here. It is still uploading. And I'm going to share it with you again. So the URL is www.tinyurl/UIN 30 SEF September. So www.tinyurl/UIN 30 SEP. So if you can like take some time now, let's just like fill out like the form so I can understand like what's going on and like the status of your employment, or if you're still like in school, please fill that out and let me know like what you are like going through right now. Please go ahead.
Okay, for all the participants, you can fill out the Google form. www.tinurl. Silahkan Bapak Ibu peserta lainnya untuk isi Google Form yang telah di-share oleh Prof. Chandra. We are really sorry, Prof, that we cannot open the link. Is it the correct one?
tinyurl.com/UIN30SEP. Are we on the same? Oh.
You forget to write the .com?
Maybe. I think that may be very well be the problem. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. So if you go there, you should see something like this. Survey Zoominar UIN September 30th, 2020. And by the way, I will also send you everyone the link to the predictions for the higher education that I discussed earlier. I will put it in the chat box.
Baik, Bapak Ibu bisa sambil diisi linknya www.tinyurl.com/win30set.
I also need to let you know that I will send there will be two winners. I will send a gift to two winners. Okay, so we still have 3 more minutes. Please use the time, and then after 3 minutes, we can start question and answer.
Oke, Prof.
Oh, by the way, I'm 5 minutes early. That's good. That's very good. Okay, 2 more minutes.
Prof, I want to ask you about this Google Form. Di situ ada pilihan saat ini saya gitu kan ya Prof, masih kuliah mengajar TK sampai SMA. How about the lecturer? Kalau ada dosen yang ikut, can we choose?
Oh,
which one?
Sorry, I was informed that like the participants are like the UIN like students and also those who are like teaching like outside. If you are like still if you are like teaching at the university, maybe you can put like mengajar SMA, and then like in your name you can put like Afifa and then open parentheses UIN. So I know that you are like teaching at UIN or teaching at UIN. You can Afifa in an open parentheses, open bracket, teaching at UIN, close bracket.
Okay, thank you, bro.
Sure. All right. Very good. Very good. 1 more minute, guys. So we have like, another minute, and then we will go to the other stuff. So right now I have, okay, that's good. That's good here. We have like, let's see, how many? 48 participants, 49. That's very good. Keep it going. Okay. All right. Okay, very good. I think I like your responses for question number 3. Kalau kondisi keuangan saya lebih baik, saya bisa lebih fokus mengajar murid-murid saya. That's very good, very good. All right, time's up. Okay, let's continue with like some discussions. If you have any questions, let me know and we will talk about it, okay? But right now, we are done.
All right. Thank you very much for your nice presentation, Dr. Chandra. The things that I can highlight from your presentation are the prediction for higher education future after the pandemic. So we should make a change so that we cannot in the trouble. And it is a challenge for the educators to prepare the students with the skill. So when they graduate, they can find a job and they can be ready in work. And also you elaborate that there are 3 practical steps for university leaders. And you show me the example of video from Ningsih on how to manage the money properly. Saya jadi pengen belajar banyak nih Prof sama Prof tentang how to manage money properly especially. Okay. Sure. We come to the first session of question and answer for Dr. Chandra. If you want to ask question, you can click raise hand button or you can type your question on the chat box. There are 2 questions on the chat. The first question from Bapak Rusnadi Alikasa from UIN Antasari.
Okay, how's the university's policy look like in response to trans management about international students who are not allowed to take full online classes? Well, that policy was canceled. So right now, the international students, they are allowed like to take like online classes. In fact, like I agree with the policy, because if you don't come to America like to study full time, if you just like take online classes, what's the purpose of like coming to the country at all? I mean, like especially with the pandemic. So this is not like a discriminatory like policy. It is just like to protect the safety of like the people, both people of the U.S., also like people like who are visiting America. And it's the same policy that we are seeing being implemented like across the board and across like the globe. We are seeing, like for example, like Malaysia is still like not allowing foreign citizens like to enter Malaysia unless that they have like special permits. Same thing with Indonesia, same thing with Hong Kong. So there's nothing new about it, but it's just like something that was like blown up by the media about like, about the policy that caused a lot of like misunderstanding. So unfortunately. Okay, so second question from Parusnadi. What do you think of best practices for schools and university leaders should do in dealing with lack of infrastructures and bad internet connection like what we have here in Indonesia, more specifically, and here in South Kalimantan? Well, it is a challenge, Parusnadi. It is a challenge. And I won't pretend that, this is an easy problem. This is a very challenging problem. But the thing is, right now, we just deal with it as best as we can. And the thing is, education is not only like, what you can learn formally in the classroom. We can always learn many things anywhere. In fact, there's like a movement in America, it's called the unschooling. So basically, they give the children the freedom to learn things that they like. In Indonesia, we have like so many lessons, pelajaran wajib, right? There's so many, right? So like students, they got like overwhelmed, and because they got overwhelmed, they don't have time to think. They just like, do the exams, take the exams, try to pass the exam, and go and move on with their life. But that is not the best way to learn. The best way to learn is like to encourage and to promote natural like curiosity of people. We encourage like the children to explore as much as they can, and that can be done even in the places where there's not a good like infrastructure. So that can be done, Parusnadi. Okay, next question.
Next question from Ibu Busaina Akila.
Okay.
How to deal the challenge of learning during this pandemic for universities, especially for those who don't have internet access?
I think that's the same question as the second question from Parusnadi. Yeah. Again, learning should not be limited to the formal form of education. It can be done in many ways and in many shapes. And in America, we are seeing that more and more. In fact, like, if you take like your students to museum and teach them there, that is also like, a great activity. Well, you may say, oh, I can't go to museum because, PSBB, right? So what can I do about it? Again, I understand, but the thing is we can use our creativity. And I can see that in Kalimantan, we can easily have like, like a social distancing and do the classroom in the open. And I think that is perfectly fine. If you wear a mask, and you are like 6 feet away, like, from each other, I mean, I don't see any reason why that cannot be done. And in fact, like, like research shows over and over that classroom, especially for like the SD, SMP, and SMA, it is not the source of the cases. The cases happen when they don't protect themselves with masks and when they don't like, adhere or they don't follow the health protocol. Yeah. So there are many creative ways that we can do to deal with the problem. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. How about the others? Do you still have any question for Prof. Chandra? I remembered at the last meeting, my students asked me, Prof, you mentioned about the relation between skill and degree. And my student asked me, degree and or skill, which one is more important?
Skill.
How about this? Skill.
Yeah.
Skill is more important than degree?
There's no question about it. There's no question about it. There's no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Degree is just like, abbreviation, a nice, like a bunch of letters that you probably like, pay a lot of money for.
Mm-hmm.
Like to get like MA, DR, doctor. You pay a lot of money. In fact, like there are schools that will charge you a lot of money so they will give you like the degree easily, right? That happens. Right. But if you buy like a degree, for example, if I buy a degree, what good does it make? I mean, like, it doesn't do me like any good. I may have a job, but if I don't do a good job, if I don't perform well in my company, I will be fired. Even though if I have like, great titles, it doesn't matter. It's not important. So if you have to choose between degree and skill, skill always wins, always. But of course, it's better like to have both.
Yeah. So that's why the educators should prepare the students for improving their skill. Selain untuk mendapatkan title, they also have to prepare about the skill for the students.
Yeah, but I can still see like, there's like a lot of focus and emphasis on getting like a degree in Indonesia, especially. Yeah. People are so keblinger oleh gelar.
Title, yeah, that's right.
Ya, apalagi kalau nanti sebentar lagi pilkada akan banyak gelar-gelar yang muncul. Ya, yang kita tidak tahu itu gelarnya muncul dari mana, ya wallahu alam.
Yang mungkin sekolahnya hanya 1 semester ya Prof ya. Sudah dapat gelar tambahan di belakangnya.
Nah, mungkin itu bukan 1 semester, kuliahnya itu tiap hari Sabtu saja, hari Sabtu siang. Tapi itu pun juga lebih halal, jadi cuma makan-makan saja. Tapi langsung keluar huruf-huruf sakti. Nah, tapi what I'm trying like to jadi mungkin untuk penutup izinkan saya untuk memakai bahasa Indonesia ya. Jadi pertanyaan saya sekarang untuk Anda semua ini, bagaimana kita bisa mempersiapkan murid-murid kita, baik Anda mengajar di pendidikan dasar, menengah, atau tinggi, bagaimana kita bisa mempersiapkan murid-murid kita, karena masa depan mereka itu ada di tangan Anda. Sampai hari ini saya masih mengingat semua guru SD, TK, SMP, dan SMA saya. Tapi guru kuliah, dosen kuliah kadang-kadang saya lupa namanya. Itu menunjukkan apa? Bahwa guru dikdasmen itu sangat memegang peranan yang luar biasa penting untuk pengembangan diri seorang anak. Nah, itu sebabnya mengapa tadi saya memberikan atau mengedarkan kuesioner itu, karena research menunjukkan bahwa ketika kita mempunyai kondisi keuangan yang kurang baik, itu menyebabkan kita itu tidak bisa fokus, dan itu adalah sesuatu hal yang bukan hal yang memalukan, bukan hal yang tabu untuk dibahas gitu loh. Karena itu adalah satu fakta yang sudah ditemukan di berbagai negara, baik negara maju atau berkembang atau negara yang belum maju atau berkembang, itu semuanya sama. Kalau kita mempunyai masalah keuangan, kita dijamin pasti tidak mungkin bisa fokus bekerja. Itu sudah pasti. Itu satu kepastian. Nah, jadi poinnya itu adalah bagaimana kita bisa mempersiapkan murid-murid kita supaya mereka itu bisa berkembang. Dan yang lebih penting, bagaimana kita juga bisa mempersiapkan diri kita pribadi supaya kita itu sebagai guru, kita itu bisa berkembang. Bagaimana kita itu bisa kita itu bisa mengembangkan diri sebaik mungkin supaya kita itu juga ya pada akhirnya kita bisa mengambil satu peranan dalam pengembangan masyarakat, anak-anak, dan khususnya untuk negara. Mungkin itu.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. Chandra, for your valuable explanation. We are very lucky to have you in this webinar, and we are really sorry if it is bothering your time. Karena sudah sangat
malam. No, it's okay. It is a pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Chandra. See you on the next occasion. We will pass to the next presenter. Stay safe, stay healthy, have a nice rest, Prof.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
All right, then we will pass to the next presenter, Dr. Farah Dina Binti Yusuf. Is Dr. Farah joining in this webinar? Dr. Farah sudah bisa dihubungi, panitia?
Sudah, tapi masih belum ada.
Okay, so we will continue to Bapak Husno.
Prof. Chandra has left. There's one question again, if he haven't left.
Sepertinya sudah.
Oh, sudah ya? Oke.
Yeah. All right, so we will pass to the next presenter, Bapak Dr. Husnul Yakin MED. He is a professional lecturer and the head of Quality Assurance Institute of UIN Antasari. He got his master's degree in Curtin University of Technology, Australia, and doctoral degree in Sarif Hidayatullah State Islamic University, Jakarta. In this session, he will share his ideas with us dealing with the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on education in Indonesia. Without any further delay, please welcome Dr. Husnul Yakin, MED.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Moderator, Ibu Linda Afifa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi amma ba'du. Honorable moderator and the committee and also the Center for Research and Development of Islamic Education and our guest from America, Professor Chandra Cahyadi. In hope has already come here, Miss Farah Dina Yusuf, we hope she has come. And all participants, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, I would like to say thank you very much for this occasion. I'm able to participate in this international webinar. And I think we have learned and we have listened from two speakers before, Prof. Mujibur Rahman and Prof. Chandra Cahyadi, who have taught us and informed us much information, much data about how COVID-19 affects the students and people in general all over the world. Let me, moderator, I want to show you my presentation, and I want to open my file.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, as I mentioned before that what the speakers before talk about COVID-19, Prof. Mujibur Rahman and also Prof. Chandra Cahyadi actually have a close relationship with what I want to talk about. So I try to take some time from this seminar, that is the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on Indonesia in education. Okay, let me show you some brief presentation relating to pictures. Okay, yes, this is the situation where, especially in the green zone area, they can conduct the education process, yeah, in the classroom, but still keeping the distance between one student and another. Yeah, if we look at the pesantren, for example, now they are studying in Pondok Pesantren, but they have to keep the distance from one in each other. Okay, this is the activity of the teacher who does door-to-door activity, yeah, during COVID-19 pandemic. And this is it's very sorry because the class is empty, no teachers, no students, yeah. Of course, no parents coming to the school because of the pandemic of COVID-19. This is a teacher who teach the student by virtual media, by using internet. And this is, the Wi-Fi. internet infrastructure where some or many schools today, maybe many houses try to provide Wi-Fi or internet media. And the last one, the situation where the students learn by virtual media, and beside him is his mother. Okay. Now, I tried to connect this speech with the term provided by the committee. Yeah. This is a very big question. Yeah, as director said that this is the very big question and important to answer. Would we lose a generation of education due to COVID-19? So we have to be aware of this question. Yeah. If we can't answer, we might be lost. Yeah. If we can answer, we may not be lost or can save our generation from COVID-19. This is a big question. So I want to tell you some quotation. Yeah, some quotation. One is from UNESCO. UNESCO stated that on April 2020, 1.6 billion students were free or closed from school and universities just to prevent COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, these numbers are considered 90% of total students in the world. So this is very serious, very, very serious. And also, Inger Ashing, this is the CEO of Save the Children, yeah. On 13th of July 2020, stated that Corona has caused education emergency, which has not happened before, where 9.7 million children affected by closing their schools have risk of permanent dropout from the schools. Okay. Also, this is very serious problem. Yeah. 9.7 million children affected by closing their schools, maybe from March to July or up to present, yeah, have risk of permanent dropout from the school. And also, she added the statement that is, this is the first time in human history the education of one children generation all over the world are disturbed. Okay, and also this is a big problem for us. And let's see what the statement of Ministry of Education and Culture, especially when we look at the news on 4th of August 2020. The number is 68 million students in Indonesia are affected by COVID-19. In Indonesia, it is about 5.44% of total students in the world, around 1.25 billion. They all have to learn from home. And from those numbers, 6.87 million, or about 10%, are students of PAUD, early childhood education programs. Up to present, they still learn from home. And as you know also that students of elementary school and also SMP, SMA, some of them still learn from home. And they say also 13 million people today now become teachers, become educators at home. Okay. Now, the question is, what are the particular problems, the particular impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on education in Indonesia? Yeah. I have read from some articles, at least 4 aspects that we have to consider. One is relating to teaching and learning process, and the second one is relating to the student loss and the evaluation process, and the third one is relating to the parents. Now I'm going to talk about the first impact of COVID-19, that is teaching and learning process, where schools, teachers, and students are involved. Normally, or in normal situation, we know that schools are the best places to improve knowledge, to improve student skill, and also attitude of the students. And schools are also interesting places where the students and teachers can communicate and interact with one another. School also can improve social skill and social awareness of the student. And school are good media for interaction between student and teachers. This is in normal situation relating to teaching and learning process. Now the question is, how is today? What is happening today? Schools in general have to conduct long distance education. Everywhere we see, the schools have to conduct long distance education. The problems then are, I try to list some problems happening when we conduct long distance education. The first one is the limitation of mastering information technology by the teachers and students. This is the biggest problem, according to my opinion, in terms of teaching and learning process. As you know, not all teachers understand and have ability to use technology, especially for the old teachers. Maybe the teachers who were born before 1980s. Like myself, I was born in 1966. I'm not capable of using technology. So not all teachers understand and have ability to use technology. What else? The teachers who live in the village where no access internet for them. This is problem number one in relation to limitation of mastering information technology by the teachers and students. And at the same time, the students, particularly who live in remote areas, in kampung-kampung, in the village, have no understanding and ability to use technology, such as computer and media. And even maybe there is no internet infrastructure in their home country or in their village. This is also the big problem for us. And the second one is relating to the process of teaching and learning. We also see the inadequate infrastructure. In general, schools in Indonesia are lack of supporting tools for information technology, such as computer. If we go to the village in remote areas, in madrasah, in pesantren or Islamic boarding school, they are lack of supporting tools, information technology, such as computer. And the second one is students in the community in large, what I said before, in this occasion, have no capability to have such tools or media. Maybe they have no money to provide computer, to buy computer, and to provide internet media. And the last one, of course, this makes students have less motivation to join virtual teaching in learning process, yeah, because of that limitation. Okay, and G is limitation of internet access. As we mentioned before, that internet access in Indonesia is still developed. Yeah, not all schools, not all pesantrens are able to use and enjoy internet because of limited access. As we know, that Indonesia consists of thousands of islands where it is very, very difficult to provide internet access in all areas, in all regions, in all districts of Indonesia. Okay. And now we see also, yeah, from our experience, theoretical aspect orientation. Online teaching and learning process tends to deliver theoretical aspect rather than the practical ones. So, yeah, this practice actually makes the students slow in accepting the subject matter and also potential to be bored. So the process is boring, makes the student bored. Why? Because there is no practice during the teaching and learning process by virtual media. And the last one relating to this, limitation of school budgets. Yeah. Before we heard from Mr. Chandra in America, there is cutting of budget also in America and also in Indonesia. This is a dilemmatic situation where schools encourage, push the students to learn virtually, but at the same time, the schools do not have enough budget to buy internet quota for the students. This is also terrible for our education. Now, the second impact of this COVID-19 is students' loss in the evaluation process. You know, it's experience that during the COVID-19, the evaluation tends to be not maximal. Yeah, tends to be not maximal. Internal evaluation for schools, yeah, may be considered less urgent, but for the students and their family, information about this evaluation is very important. Yeah. There's an assumption that when the information of student achievement is a result of learning evaluation is not given to the student or their family, then it will become serious problem for the future. Why? They don't know exactly, for example, what skills, what knowledge, or what attitude that have been mastered by their student at school. You know, because you know that there was no UN, yeah, during COVID-19. This is also a problem for us. Yeah? They don't know exactly what they have already got from their teachers at school. Okay, the third aspect of the MP here is parents. Yeah, we are parents. All of us here are parents. The problem faced by parents is added budget for internet quota for their children. Yeah. So in this situation, the spending of parents or family highly increases. You know, if we earn, for example, 3 million each month, it is enough for normal situation. But when COVID-19 comes, it is not enough. Why? Because the students or our children ask the money for buying the internet quota. Spending of parents actually increases. Number two, parents also have no ability and capability to use information technology. Okay. It is also a big problem in our education. when we conduct the long distance education. And the third one is parents have to provide their extra time to be with their students, to be with their children during online learning process at home. Yes, we know that some of us, for example, work outside the house, yeah, in the office, but at the same time they have to provide their extra time to be with their children at home. Okay. What I have talked about is related to negative impact. Yeah, we also have to realize that there are some positive impact. Yeah, beside the negative ones. I tried to list some of them. Yeah, we have also to realize this positive impact. One is supporting the acceleration of education transformation. Okay. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the government has to conduct long-distance education system. Yeah. Number two, this pushes schools, universities, teachers, students, and parents to be competent in technology. So this also make accelerated education in our country. In the third one, using technology in education actually is in line with industrial revolution 4.0. This is the positive impact of COVID-19 relating to supporting the acceleration of education transformation. And two, according to my opinion, many online learning application appear. Yeah. This application appears to support long-distance education, such as e-study, teacher room, learning house, Google Classroom. Yeah, we also, for example, use Zoom and LMS, Learning Management System, and so on. So during COVID-19, we know and we try to use this application. This is the positive impact of COVID-19. And the third one is many free online courses, seminars, and conference offered. These programs are provided by certain institutions, such as campus, schools, courses, blah, blah, blah. As we know that now we are in seminars, which is free. Yeah. After this, we will get some maybe certificates, which is free. This is the impact of COVID-19 seminars. Yeah. We have actually a photo, but I can show you here. There is someone bringing a big bag, yeah, a big bag, which inside there are many certificates. This is the impact of COVID-19. Yeah. So every seminars he follows, every conference he follows, then he get certificate. This is also one the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. And the last one relating to collaboration between teachers and parents. Yeah. During COVID-19 pandemic, the students learn from home and spend their time at home. This requires innovative collaboration between teachers and parents. They both work together in educating their students. This situation actually has not happened before, but today we are doing this. We are doing this collaboration between teachers and parents at home. Ladies and gentlemen, now what we have do today. I try to give you some strategies and also alternative solution that can be considered, yeah, for our future, especially in terms of education today and in the future. Here I give some strategies and solution. First is, what has the government do? Yeah, the government has to produce and develop education policy that support the continuity and also equality of education, such as reallocating school budget, providing infrastructure of information technology at schools, and also building infrastructures in all areas all over Indonesia. Yeah, if we can do this, I believe we can save our children. And the last one, the government has to monitor, has to evaluate the implementation of long-distance education during COVID-19 pandemic. So day to day, month to month, we have to monitor and we have to evaluate. The government has to take action in the situation. What about schools? What should the schools do? One is be ready, yeah, because we are facing the situation. Be ready in facilitating any changes concerning with student education. Maybe curriculum, maybe teaching methodology, maybe teaching environment, yeah, school budgets, and so on. So any change concerning with education must be faced and must be planned. Number two, I still believe attitude education as well as behavior education, especially ethics or akhlaq, must be strong basis for the students in the middle of technological development and information acceleration. So we do not have, we have to be care of this. Yeah, it's the result of learning process, three domain. Yeah, beside knowledge, also we have to concern with ethics, akhlaq, attitude, and behavior. And number three, the school. Yeah, we have to collaboration between schools, teachers, and parents should be developed to make sure that the student education or the student are well educated. Perhaps we can provide like the what we call connecting book between teachers and parents, where the teachers can read the activity of student at home, and at the same time, the parents can read the activity during their activities at home by connecting book. We can say buku penghubung, ya, buku penghubung. Okay, what about teachers? What should the teachers do? Yeah. Number one, I put this in number one. The teachers have to master information technology. And this is a must. Yeah. This is a must. This is the only way to provide good education for the student. They have to master information technology using internet, yeah, using Google, using application of the teaching learning process, blah, 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 blah. So this is, I put in number one, mastering information technology. And number two, besides teaching via virtual media, if possible, the teachers are suggested to do door-to-door activity. Of course, with health protocol of COVID-19. Why? Because they will know exactly what the student do, how the student behave. And also don't forget that the student miss their teachers. Yeah. A long time ago, I saw the video. One child cried, yeah, because she was missing her teachers. Yeah. They need to face their teachers. They need to be together with the teachers. So if possible, I suggest the teachers good to do door-to-door activity. And number 3, I still want to emphasize this: focus on student mastery, on knowledge, attitude, and skills. Yeah, because there are 3 components interconnected. Yeah, and number 4, redesign their teaching preparation suitable with the situation of COVID-19 pandemic. So it is not similar with the preparation before. We have to redesign relating to the goals, for example, or to teaching method or to teaching media. Now, for the parent, we are parents here. Most of us are parents here. Number 1, according to my opinion, the parents have to realize that their children's education is part of their duty and their responsibility. Yeah, maybe before COVID-19, we give our students, our children to school, to teach us, to educate them. Yeah, we forget that the education of our children is our duty, is our responsibility. So this COVID-19 maybe warm us, yeah, make us realize that we have to know that the children education is part of our duty and our responsibility. Number 2, is the main educators or teachers at home, parents have to conduct this main function effectively, including making collaboration between teachers and parents, and also providing internet quota or media. They have to provide quota or media. This is the way of long distance education process. And the last one, step by step, parents have to learn pedagogy and other related knowledge, such as psychology or guidance and counseling, and so on. So parents, one day to day, step by step, have to learn this all knowledge, pedagogy and other related knowledge. Now, I want to draw my conclusion. Number 1, I think, be optimistic in facing COVID-19 pandemic. Everything will end in time. We have to provide our effort. We have to pray, and also we have to tawakkal Allah, to give this all problems to Allah. So be optimistic in facing COVID-19 pandemic. Number 2, collaboration between schools, teachers, and parents must be made as good as possible. Yeah, must be made as good as possible. No other choice. We have to do this. And the third one is the government, at the same time, has to monitor the real situation of the effectiveness of long-distance education. And the last one, it is our dua to Allah. May our children be safe from corona disease and not become lost generation in the future. I think that's all what I can share with you this morning. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for your valuable information, Dr. Husnul Yakin, MED. In his presentation, he pinpoints that we should be optimistic in facing COVID-19 pandemic because everything will end in time. Then the collaboration between schools, teachers, and parents must be made as close as possible. Furthermore, the government has to monitor the real situation of the effectiveness of long-distance education. Before we are going to Q&A session, we would like to pass to the last presenter, Dr. Farahdina binti Yusuf. Hello, Dr. Farah. Are you with me? Are you with us in this webinar? Dr. Farah? Dr. Farah. Okay. Dr. Farah, we are really sorry for switching your time presentation. Perhaps this is because of connection delay, so we cannot find you. And this is your time to present. But before the presentation from Dr. Farah, I would like to read a short biography. She is an associate professor at the Department of Curriculum and Instructional Technology, Faculty of Education, University of Malaya. Dr. Farah is currently the director of UM's Academic Enhancement and Leadership Development Center. She holds a PhD in 2 fields, Curriculum and Instructional Technology and Human-Computer Interaction from Iowa State University, USA. She has recently been awarded an international award, the Outstanding Woman in Humanities and Social Sciences 2018 by Venus International Foundation, and she was also the 3rd runner of Anugerah Khas Menteri Pendidikan Malaysia, Reka Bentuk Kurikulum dan Penyampaian Inovatif atau AKRI in 2018. Dr. Farah has wide experiences in the area of teaching and training, both locally and internationally, in the area of educational technology and instructional design. That's why she is especially known for her civic-minded instructional designer or CMID conceptual framework, which has reframed current ways of educating professionals for the purpose of improving public life. In this webinar, Dr. Farah will share with us the ideas dealing with how should be education during COVID-19 pandemic so we are not lost a generation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Faradina binti Yusuf.
Assalamualaikum. A very good morning, everyone.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I'm sorry, Dr. Husnul, did I cut your session?
Yes, that's okay. No problem.
Thank you. I have joined 2 speakers, and I would like to thank everyone. First, thank you to Dr. Eko Wahyu, who has invited me to be in this seminar. And also thank you to the moderator, Dr. Afifah Lindasari, and the other 2 speakers who I have enjoyed their lecture and also their presentations, Dr. Chandra Cahyadi and Dr. Husnul Yaqin, my colleagues at UIN Antasari, and all participants of this international webinar. Can I share my screen, Ms. Moderator? Yes?
Please.
All right. Is my screen online?
Yes, we can look at your screen.
Okay, thank you so much. So I am Associate Professor Dr. Faradina Yusuf. I am currently the Director of the Academic Enhancement and Leadership Development Center at University of Malaya. And also I'm actually a faculty member of the Faculty of Education, University of Malaya. Before I start my presentation, I actually would like to thank everyone, and especially the organizer, who has allowed me to virtually travel to your country during this pandemic, COVID-19. When I first got this invitation, I'm like, okay, I should know where the UIN Antasari is. So I'm looking at the Google Maps, and I saw that, oh, it took about 8 hours for me from Kuala Lumpur to your university if I would be traveling, in person. But Alhamdulillah, because of the COVID-19, we are all online, and I can now travel to Indonesia during this, even though of this quarantine. So I would like to start my presentation by first looking at the situation that we are having now. We know that COVID-19 has changed the world's landscape. If you look at the slides, you can see that a lot of suffering, a lot of pain that we are looking at. Some people have lost their lives, some have lost their family members. And also, we know that the impact on economy is very bad. some are unemployed, and some people having problems with digital divide. And also at some other parts of the world where their socio-economic status is not so good, they are also having such a bad time. Okay? Oh. However, may I invite all of you to look at the bright side of this pandemic 19. I'm not meaning to say that let's forget those who are suffering, but I think that let's look at the opportunities that we have now. So if we look at this bright side, okay, I have to minimize the screen. Yeah. So we know that because of the COVID-19, we are now able to work online, working from home. This is what at Malaysia we are doing right now. So parents don't have to leave their kids or their family, but they can work at home with their kids and their families. So I think that's a good side of it. And also teachers now don't have to go to school to teach, but they can now participate in online learning, or they can have, like you are doing now, virtual conference. I think that's also a good thing. And if you look at the very left side of the slide, you can see that we have homeschooling going on, where maybe in the past, before COVID-19, some parents are not really aware of what their kids are learning. But because of the pandemic, we are all at home. We can now look at and oversee what the kids are doing. Okay, so homeschooling is now becoming a trend. And this is what I think the two speakers have talked about, online teaching and learning. This pandemic has also created a new trend or new phenomena. It's not really new, actually. It has been here like a few years, but it doesn't really take or not really being highlighted until this COVID-19 pandemic. And this is about learning everywhere, anywhere, at any time. Now, what I'm trying to say is that we can work this out together, and we can also make a difference, not really to ourselves, but also to our country, to our village, to our friends, our family, and so on. I just wanted to share with you, perhaps all of you have known this story of Viviana. She is a Malaysian student studying at one of the university in Malaysia, who she has done some YouTube videos about how she managed to do online learning on the tree. So this is a very viral story. At some point, can look at the date, is 26th of June 2020, so it's quite recent. And because of her videos, and it has captured a lot of attention, especially internationally, she has also contributed to change the landscape of her village. Now, she not only received some computer assistance, her village also benefited from the internet because of her case. So there is some hope. Okay, we should not be looking at only the negative side. However, to make a difference within this very limited technological situation that we are doing now, I think it is time for us to work together with many, many different agencies or industry. Okay, if you look at the screen, I'm talking about, first of all, higher education cannot just stand alone. We can provide some platform to share the knowledge, but we need support, especially from the industry. Industry has a lot of funding, especially telecommunication agencies or companies. They may be able to give some fund to help with the internet and Wi-Fi, for example. And the government can also do some kind of governance to oversee the quality of teaching and learning that is taking place. And with the community, we need to be together, working together, so that we can combat this pandemic together. but I'm only speaking for the higher education sector in this presentation. Yeah. So this is my suggestions for us to combat the COVID-19 for the purpose of education, so no one is left behind. From my experience being the director of the center that is supposed to be training educators or lecturers in the university, I think there are three important aspects that the university need to consider. And this is also three aspects that, for example, government agencies, industry, if they want to help us with this, these are the three things that they can help with. First of all, it is a infra and infrastructure, and this means some hardware and software that we can invest on to make sure that online learning take place. So I'll be talking about the need for e-learning platform, the need for devices, PC and phone, and also internet. Second, and this has been highlighted by, I think, Dr. Chandra and also Dr. Husnul, professional development, meaning that building the people, not just the hardware, we need to build the people. And I see that there are three main important people that we can build the capacities within, which is the first one, lecturers, second, the students, and also not to forget the support staffs. Yeah, I'll be talking about that too. And third, this is about administration, where I think good governance is very important. And this I will be talking about the role of e-learning center, the ICT center, and the quality assurance center at the university. Now let's go to point number one, okay, or aspect number one, which is infra and infrastructure. I think that to make sure that we can do good online teaching and learning, we need also to be ready with the appropriate infra and infrastructure. First, we need to have a good e-learning platform, or we know this by the name LMS, or Learning Management System. I believe in your university as well, you have this learning management system. In our university, Malaya, we use Moodle, which we have been modified a bit, and we call it Spectrum. Okay, and this e-learning platform, or LMS, will function as a one-stop center for all people involved in the teaching and learning process, which is especially the teachers or the educators, and second, the students. Okay, so apart from that Moodle, there are other platforms, and you know this, I'm just highlighting it. Canvas, for example, Schoology, Blackboard, and also the most popular one, I think right now, is Google Classroom. So these are the technologies that we can use, and some of it are free. It is open source, so you don't have to pay. We can look at this due to this, economic condition not so good. Maybe we want to try it out. So what can we do with our learning management system? Okay, a lot of things can be put in one place, make it easy for students to access it. For example, they can access the list of courses, the announcements from the teachers or the universities. They can organize their own learning calendar in that learning management system. Also, a learning management system will allow them to access all the course files, for example, the course syllabus, the teaching plans, notes, etc. So it can also help with the communication between all parties involved through the forum and chat feature. The students can also submit their assignments online, and thus we reduce the use of print-based materials or any postage-related costs if it can be supported online. So the students also can know the progress, okay, every time they submit the assignment, because in the learning management system, there is grading or scoring feature that the teachers can use. I think once the students submit the assignment, the teachers can grade it online, and the students can see, this is where I am now, and I have to do some things to make sure that I am better in future. So I think it is important to invest in good learning management system. Second, we also need to make sure that everyone have the tools to access to the system, okay, or to the knowledge platform. So we may not be able to have PC for everyone or laptops, but at least I believe we have a mobile phone. Okay, so teachers, educators, think about ways that you can use your mobile phone and students' mobile phones to transfer or to do interactive sessions there. Okay. Next, it is very important, okay, to have internet coverage. Okay, some of the experiences that I have been involved in, I've seen that students have very low internet coverage and also internet bandwidth and internet connection. So this will hamper the learning process. Okay, and I would suggest that once if we can think about ways to make sure that every students have access to internet, it will be better. For example, in Malaysia, we have support from our government during the MCO period. All Malaysians have a free 1 gigabyte of internet supported by the government from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. These are peak hours and it's very important, and it has assisted the learning process. Yeah. Now at University Malaya, the university top management has also have partnership or some sort of deal with the telecommunication company. And if you look at the screen now, this is Celcom, one of the biggest telecom company in Malaysia. So Celcom has come up with what they call Celcom Data Plan package for university students, where the students pay only 50 ringgit and they can get up to 30 gigabyte of internet quota monthly. Okay, but it's not paid by the students actually. The universities have made kind of purchase this from the telecom company, and then any access or any additional charges, I mean beyond the 50 ringgit per month, the students will have to top up. I think it's a good way that the university and industry can support one another. Now, moving to the second aspect, building the people, okay, building the capacities, knowledge, and skills of the people, as what have been shared by our two presenters. I think that there are three important people that we need to develop their professionalism or their capacities. Of course, first is the lecturers or the educators at higher education. So we have been, I mean, from my experience as the director of a teaching and learning center, we have been doing and also promoting online teaching and learning, blended learning, and it's not something new to our faculty members. However, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, everybody has come into like a rush that I need to know this more. So they have invested time to attend to this. And also within a very short period of time, they have to kind of transform or transfer all their face-to-face teaching and learning into online teaching and learning within a short period of time. This is what we call emergency remote teaching. And this is, I think, a new term in education right now, ERT, emergency remote teaching. Okay, if you Google the term ERT, you probably have some of the notes about it. And I think that because of the pandemic, pedagogical approach, we are going back to online teaching and learning. Okay, so teachers need to be given a very good online teaching and learning trainings. Okay, the second people that we have to develop their capacities is actually the students. Okay, it's not because only the lecturers are involved. It is because of this two-way communication. The students have also need to be ready for the e-learning to take place. So they need to be taught or brief about what will happen during the process of teaching and learning. Okay, if you look at the slides, I am sharing with you 3 posters that we created, only targeting for the students. For example, the first one, we provide tips to be successful in online classes. Okay, because some students may not, may be lost in the process. They don't know what to do. So this is some tips for them to be successful. And also, second poster, tips for participating in online discussion forums, because before the online teaching and learning situation, people may not really use the discussion forums a lot. So we need to give some ideas about how to participate in online forums. And also, not to mention good practices for students learning in synchronous environment. Because of the nature of the teaching and learning, we are actually using 2 types of learning. The first one is called synchronous learning, and second one is asynchronous learning. So synchronous learning, for example, using Google Meet and also Zoom, like what we are doing now. So students need to be briefed about what to expect during the synchronous environment, what they can do, what they can prepare, and so on. So that's 2 people that are important. Another one that is sometimes forgotten is actually to train the support staffs. Okay, support staffs are people who actually help the students and the lecturers to make sure that the teaching and learning process is conducted smoothly. Okay, these are people, for example, lab technicians or computer lab technicians who are helping students with hardware, with their lab equipment, with the studio works, and also to do the using the machines. So because of the COVID-19 and in Malaysia, especially in my university, University Malaya, students will need to do lab-based classroom. They can come to the lab or to the studio, but with batches. Okay, so students need to take time, use the allotted time or in space to use it, and then after that they have to give it to other batch of students. Now, the final aspect that I think need to be considered is good governance. First of all, I have to remove a bit. Okay, it is important for the e-learning center at each university to be ready. Okay, first to conduct trainings for the educators, and also to, if possible, to publish some guidelines or posters or whatever resources that you can do. And try to reach out to your stakeholders, especially the lecturers and students. Here at EDAC, what we do trainings for lecturers, for e-learning. We have leadership training, research training, and not to mention also teaching and learning. I think the second important governance is regarding the ICT center. They need to be able to provide technical support. For example, in my university, University Malaya, we have this help desk where students or lecturers can just put in whatever complaints or whatever notes to the technical staffs and get help. Yeah, so they are also responsible to make sure that the system, for example, the learning management system, is up to date. For example, one of the things that happened last semester was some technical hiccups when lecturers want to do online examinations. So the team, the technical people at the ICT center needs to be ready, make sure the system is up to date, and also the software can accommodate the many people who are taking online exam. The third most important thing is, I think, the Quality Assurance Center, and I believe that each university have the Quality Assurance Center, like in University of Malaya. So even though learning takes place, we can say anywhere at any time, we can never compromise the quality of teaching and learning, right? So the Quality Assurance Center is responsible to make sure that everybody, the students and the lecturers, follow the guidelines of good teaching. For instance, we have come out with online teaching and learning guideline. This is a guideline what to do and how to do things online. For example, how do you plan your online lessons? How do you deliver your online lessons? And how to do the final examinations online. So this is the importance of the 3 centers in a university. All right. I just want to recap of what we're doing. I keep on saying about we, and you might be wondering what actually EDHEC is doing at University Malaya. So there are 3 main important aspects that we are doing at EDHEC as a e-learning center. First, we do academic staff development. If you look at the small picture on the right side, all lecturers in University Malaya has to go through 6 aspects of training. First, of course, teaching and learning. Second, training on research. Third, on supervision. Fourth, on leadership, e-learning, and also well-being. Okay, so that's our biggest role. So we also do innovation in teaching and learning, whereas we support the lecturers with special grant, teaching and learning grant, so that they can use the grant to come up with new and innovative approaches to teaching and learning. Okay, we have recipients from non-education people, for example, from medical faculty, engineering, dentistry, pharmacies, who have involved in innovations in their teaching and learning. So that's a good thing to know. We also are responsible to look into conducive learning environment and create learning communities in the university. All right, just to share with you, there are some resources that we also provide online. Okay, because everything is now need to be reachable, accessible by everyone. Everything we do, including guidelines, books, almost everything, we put it online. Again, that's the good thing about technology, and allow us to do a lot of things. And this also includes seminars or webinars that we do. And also we select some of the YouTube videos and put it online so that the lecturers know where they can get this information. Yeah. In conclusion, I would like to invite all of us to look into the SWOT analysis, and we are very familiar with SWOT. But instead of analyzing the situation and feeling bad about it, I would like to share what I think we should think about, rethink about it. First, we should celebrate and enhance our strengths. Look at ourselves, look at our institutions, at our universities, our students and our lecturers. What are their strengths? Focus on that, celebrate it, and try to enhance the strengths. Okay? If we know that we have weakness, we can just recognize our limitations, but take advantage and to strategize toward the betterment. If we know threats, we try to minimize any threats that will tries to widen our learning, and take it as opportunities to learn beyond our geographical boundaries, for example, beyond our university, beyond the country. If I can have 1 minute, I also would like to suggest everyone to expand our learning horizon. I think this is what the 2 speakers have talked about. Instead of just focusing on the formal learning, like learning happens only in schools, we now have to think about informal and non-formal learning. So learning can happen everywhere, anywhere, at any time. Okay, it can happen when the students or even our kids engage with learning materials. For example, just capture this at Petro Science Kuala Lumpur. The students visit the museums and they can learn for what happened during the dinosaurs era. Or while playing, right? Role playing. This is example from Kidzania Kuala Lumpur, where the students learn to be firemen, they learn to be hairdresser and a lot of other roles, and they are learning through playing. So with that, I will end my presentation. And if you have any question, I'll be happy to share with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Farah, for your explanation. In your attractive presentation, I can highlight that as the educator, we should be ready in infra and in infrastructure such as LMS or e-learning platform, then developing professional development, not only for lecturers, but also for the students and support staffs, such as giving online teaching and learning trainings, and also giving the training how to use the equipments for the staff. Furthermore, we need to expand our learning horizon. Thank you for Dr. Farah. And now we come to the question and answer session. If you have a question, you can raise your hand to ask directly to both of the presenters, or you can type your question on the chat. Okay, well, we are waiting for the question. There are a question. Go to Dr. Farah from Angelique Patricia from UIN Antasari, Banjarmasin. She asked about teach early childhood in Malaysia, how to teach the early childhood in Malaysia. And she wants to know about the aspects to consider for teaching in childhood school. Yeah, maybe you can share how to teach the childhood in Malaysia.
Okay, thank you so much to the person who asked. So I think that early childhood education is very important, and I think that there's not so much difference between what is happening in Malaysia and also in Indonesia, in fact, in the whole world, right? So I think one important aspect that we have to look into, and I'm talking about the pedagogical approach with early childhood learners, is that learning by playing. We recognize that they are still kids, they love to learn. So as teachers, we should try to accommodate their needs. Some kindergartners are happy learning while they are at kindergartens, but once they enter school, like for example, year 1, up to secondary school, the learning has become like a burden to them. It's like they are no fun in learning anymore. It's like learning has stopped. The fun has stopped when they enter primary school. And this is not supposed to be that way. And I think we as educators should try in any way to encourage learning by playing at all levels. And I'm talking about higher education. Even at higher education, at university, we can still encourage the learning by playing. For example, by integrating gamification, okay, in our teaching and learning approach. Other than that, I think we can also try to have pedagogical approaches that are inclusive, okay, and accommodate all the senses, okay, the sensory and also smell, the sights, okay, all these are actually the concept of Montessori education, and this can also applicable at higher education level, not just at early childhood learning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. A question more from Bapak Rusnadi Ali Kasan. In response to expanding learning horizon, how effective is using authentic materials for both teacher and students, and how can we make the process they have are meaningful? Yeah, how effective is using authentic materials for both teacher and students, and how can we make the processes they have are meaningful?
Thank you for the question. I think this is an excellent question, and I hope I can answer that within my knowledge. Okay. First of all, authentic learning is one of the pedagogical approaches that is so powerful because it connects the students with the reality or the real world. As I mentioned just now, learning should not stop within the four walls of our classroom. Okay? It has to be expanded within or beyond the classrooms, and we can emphasize the informal and non-formal learning. So I think that the more we try to connect whatever we teach in classrooms with the real world, it is going to be better. However, one thing that I think is make a difference is that it has to be guided learning. Okay, you cannot just ask the students to, for example, go into an exhibition at a museum without any instructions or any guidance. You have to tell them first what is the purpose of going there, and second, what are the things that they need to do. Make a task, a list of tasks for them, or a challenge, or like a game, a mystery for them to solve using the exhibits that they see in the museum. So after that, it is very important to have whole class reflection of the learning experience. Otherwise, it's just sightseeing. There is no learning in there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next question for Bapak Husnul Yakin. Today, government has provided internet quota and free smartphone, but the main problem, we are not fine yet about good evaluation formula on how to activate the students and how to improve their attitude or character and skill. Bapak.
Okay, once more, I do not listen well.
Okay, I will repeat the question. Today, government has provided internet quota and free smartphone, but the main problem, we are not fine yet about good evaluation formula on how to activate the student and how to improve their attitude or character and skill. So the question refers to a good evaluation formula. Maybe you can give a suggestion for good evaluation formula and then how to improve students' attitude because they learn from home. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Up to present, I actually do not have, I haven't got the real evaluation from the long distance education in terms of evaluating especially the attitude and the skills. Yeah, but I think if you want to try to improve their skills and their attitude, it must be started from the preparation of our teaching. Yeah, what should be got by the student? Will they get the knowledge aspect? Or will they get the attitude aspect? Or will they get the practical aspect or skill aspect? That's the question actually explicit written in the teaching preparation. Then we can evaluate. What I want to suggest is there should be a collaboration in mentoring, in also evaluating the achievement of the skill aspect or the attitude aspect. Yeah, we can ask the parent how the children behave in front of the parent or in family or also in society. Does the school, the social, for example, skill alive among the student in the community? So by making the connecting book, as I said before, we can know the progress of the students' achievement in terms of especially skills and attitude. Yeah, or we also can do the door-to-door activity. Yeah, teacher does door-to-door activity, so they know what they have got from the teaching process, especially in terms of attitude and behavior. But for the knowledge, they can evaluate by testing, by providing question, and so on. But for two factors, attitude and behavior and skill, so there should be collaboration. There should be communication between teachers or lecturers with the parent, with the parent at home. That's my suggestion. So we don't have the best formula up to time being, yeah. Maybe there should be, for example, the center of teaching or center of curriculum development to do evaluation and then to make the formula of how good evaluation for these two aspects. I think that's all. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bapak Husnul. Maybe Dr. Farah can get additional information, or you can share how the assess the students in online learning, or how to create a good assessment that is applicable for online learning.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. I agree with Dr. Husnul, who said that there is no specific formula or the best formula to evaluate, especially attitudes. But I always think there's hope. Maybe we can think about this together. If you don't mind, Ms. Moderator, can I share a screen?
Yes, please, Doctor.
All right, so this is 3 types of engagement that people always think about cognitive aspect to engage students cognitively, but we as teachers always forgot to do the effective engagement. So I just want to mention that if we are thinking about training or teaching effective domain, we can use Krathwohl, Bloom, and Masia, who has this. I'm sure this is familiar to everyone, but I just want to highlight. This is some sort of pyramid or categories of effective behaviors that we can try to embed in our lessons. For example, to teach the kids about receiving, okay, to learn to accept others, to listen to others, to respond to others well, and to teach them to respond, to value each others, to organize, and if possible, to be morally good. I know this is not easy, but we can try to do it. Second thing, I also would like to echo what Dr. Husnul said. Perhaps one thing that we can do is to develop a rubric so that the students they know what is expected from them. And may I suggest to everyone perhaps to make the teaching and learning process a little bit more democratic or flexible. Okay, let's try to invite our students to come out with their own rubric to evaluate themselves. Will that be a good thing? Okay, I think, and I've done this, we can ask the students to come out with, it can be part of your assessment or your assignment. Let's create a rubric together. You can name the activity. Okay, ask them what do they want to be evaluated, and then guide them how they can do the scoring. So if we get buy-in from everyone that these are the values that we want to instill, or this is the attitude that we want to establish in this class, so I think it is more easier for the students to be abide by the rule that they themselves have set in. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your explanation, Dr. Farah. So the educator should prepare the rubric, so that will be a matter for the students to assess by themselves. All right. Next, for Bapak Husnul, a question from Bapak Daud Yahya. As we know that the spread of the COVID-19 in South Borneo is very high. One of the reasons is the understanding regarding to the theology. For example, saying don't afraid of COVID-19, but only fear of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So some people don't have discipline like in wearing mask and so on. How for strengthening the theological education to reduce COVID-19?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Kiai Daud Yahya. He is our chief in Pusjibang PI, all right? Okay. This is very interesting. Actually, this is relating to Islamic teaching. How the community make understanding of the Islamic teaching, especially in terms of theological understanding. Yeah. So according to my opinion, there are some problems that still exist in our community, especially in theological aspect, including how to face COVID-19. You know, as we learned before that there are many ism, yeah, like Jabariyah, Qadariyah, Mu'tazilah, yeah. This is the way or the way they act to or they respond to the situation like COVID-19. Yeah. So according to my opinion, we have to refresh the understanding of our communities, knowledge about theology. So according to my opinion, if we pasrah, you know, what we mean pasrah, if we Linda, pasrah in English?
How to say pasrah?
Yeah. I mean,
everything back to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
yeah, everything back to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So we, and then we just give to our Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Yeah. So this is like Jabariyahism. Yeah, Jabariyahism. So they don't have enough effort to prevent COVID-19. So they just give the situation to Allah. Yeah. And then they relax. They don't have effort to prevent. They don't wear masker. They don't do keeping distance from others. So the problem is about the theology, the understanding of theological teaching in Islam. And this is, I think, brought from the last period in Islamic in Islamic teaching. So this is the responsibility of the teacher of Aqidah, Akhlaq at school, and also the responsibility of the lecturer of theology in campus to refresh the community's knowledge on theological aspect. And I think it takes a long time to turn on, to turn back or to turn on their mind, from Jabariyah, for example, to Qadariyah, from Jabariyah to Mu'tazilah, from Jabariyah to Ahlus Sunnah wal Jamaah, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think that's the solution. Thank you.
So that's really hard, Bapak Husnul. Okay, and this is the last question and also the closing statement from both of the presenters. The question from Bapak Rusnadi: do you think that the COVID-19 has really caused lost generation? If so, then what are the indications and how can we solve it? Please, for the first, Ibu Farah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moderator. There's many perspectives to that question, I think. The first one, if the person who asked was referring to the loss of life, yes, the answer will be yes. We have lost a lot of generations, not just one generation due to COVID-19. But if we look into loss of, what can I say? If you look at the positive aspect of it, we still have not lost that much. I also like to again highlight that even though we are losing at one point, we are still winning, or we still have good hope at another side. And I have touched this on the presentation. If possible, Ms. Moderator, can I share some insights of the previous question, if that's okay with you?
Yes, please, Doctor.
Okay. So while Dr. Husnul was talking, I tried to Google And then I found this quotation, which is, I think it's interesting. Sorry, I have taken control of your screen now. So this is what we know, that Allah will not change a person's or a situation if that person do not take actions to it. Okay, and because of that, may I share with you maybe one thing that we can teach the generation is not to be too, too selfish. If you look at the screen now, and you type civic-minded instructional designers and look at the slide, I'm sorry, at the right side of it, what we are saying is that tell the students or tell the people that whatever he or she is doing impact not just the person's life, but also the community, and also the nation at large. And sometimes it affects the global situation as well. So that's why if you're thinking of teaching how to change them, you may want to think about the, if I can mention, but this is not like a promotion, but I'm just sharing with you that we need to develop 4 aspects in them. Okay, the first one is the belief that they are agents of social change. Sorry, I can't make it bigger. It's just so small, but if you can type it in your laptop, you will find it. And that we are entrusted with our knowledge and skills to help people in our society. Second is the knowledge of the social issues surrounding their areas, for example, in their village and the community, okay, so that they can act upon it. And third is the developing the skills that they need to help people solve the problem. And fourth is the dispositions or the attitude. And we have to instill the public spiritedness, meaning that we are, as professionals trained in higher education, or if we are teachers, we owe the society, we owe the public. We need to help them with knowledge and skills that we have been taught. So I think that if we have these all 4 qualities, inshallah, we can change the perception of the person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Farah. Continue with Dr. Husnul Yakin.
Yes.
As the closing statements, do you think that the COVID-19 has really caused a lost generation, and how can we solve it?
First, I would say that I agree with Dr. Farah Diana's opinion. And in relating to this question, my simple answer is it depends on how we respond the situation. So it depends on how we respond the situation. When we know that this is a musibah, a musibah for our God, then we try to prevent. We try to solve this problem, and then we try to explore the causes and the knowledge how to solve. As we know, we conduct the seminar. This is one kind of how to solve this problem. Then I'm sure that we will not lose our generation for the next time. But if we just stay at home, we don't have effort, we don't discuss how to solve this problem, of course, I think this will happen. So again, it depends on how we respond this COVID-19 pandemic situation. That's my conclusion. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Husnul. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the presentation session. The things that I can highlight from the presentation that we should be optimistic in facing COVID-19 pandemic, and also we need to collaborate. The collaboration between schools, teachers, and parents to be together in winning this pandemic. Once more, on behalf of the Center of Research and Development on Islamic Education, Tarbiyah and Teacher Training Faculty UIN Antasari Banjarmasin, I would like to say thank you very much for Dr. Farah Dina from University of Malaya, and also Dr. Husnul Yakin as the presenter today. See you on the next occasion. I will turn the next session to Ibu Ika Irayana. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, Amin. We have finished our webinar today. Thank you very much for all speakers, Prof. Chandra, Prof. Dr. Farah, and Dr. Husnul for providing materials for us, and it's very useful for us, inshallah. And also we want to thank to Ibu Afifah Hindasari for moderating this forum today and engaging us in a very exciting discussion. Also, thank you for all participants who follow this webinar until the end, not just waiting for the link of absency. Thank you very much. Finally, I am Ika Irayana, on behalf of the Center of Research and Development on Islamic Education, Tarbiyah, and Pusran Faculty, or Pusdibang PI, wishing you all a wonderful Wednesday, and we will hope that we can see in the next event. Thank you very much for all your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Husnul.
Yes, thank you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Farah.
Everyone, the organizer.
Thank you, Dr. Farah. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Husnul. I learned a lot from you.
Yeah, same. I learned a lot from you, and we will meet in Malaysia, right? Inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Thank you, Dr. Farah.
Should we leave the session?
Echo, Dr. Farah. Thank you.